It's tournament season at First, and the next big one at Santa Anita Gulfstream and ExpressBet is the Ultimate Betting Challenge this Saturday, March the 2nd. The Ultimate Betting Challenge features every race at Gulfstream Park on Fountain of Youth Day and Santa Anita Park on Big Cap Day, making it a coast-to-coast betting extravaganza. Buy in for $6,000, $5,000 live bankroll, and compete against players from around the country for massive cash prizes and NHC seats. First, we'll seed 4 NHC seats to the prize pool, and all cash entry fees will be distributed back as prizes. At 150 players, that's $150,000 in cash prizes, plus those 4 NHC seats. Play in the UBC on site at Gulfstream or Santa Anita, or jump in online with ExpressBet. Head over to expressbet.com/tournaments for more information and to register to play. Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, February the 28th, kicking off a 50-cent pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs with race number 5. Let's throw up the field. $32,000 starter allowance, $32,000 claiming option, going 1 1/16 on the turf, 4 3-year-olds. Bookending the field, the 1 and the 11, they're both main track only. Keep an eye, however, on the 9. Crowned Jewel, getting a big drop in class and Lasix for the first time.
Maybe the class drop will be all it takes for this horse, Dan. And he probably should go favorite in this race. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think there was a big standout in this race. If the class drop does it, the class drop does it. But I didn't think this horse stood out over some of these other horses.
Maybe the Timeform US pace projector can give us a clue. Note that red bar. We're expecting a fast pace up front. Deep Strike was on the lead to no avail last time out. He might be able to get to the front once again. If the pace is hot, the 9, Crown Jewel, as the fastest late Timeform US figure. He can be running in the end. I'm not sure how fast this pace is going to be, Mike. I do think the 4 and the 5 are going to show speed.
I wasn't sure about the pace either. We'll see how it all plays out. I do think trips are going to be pretty important in here. So we'll see what Deep Strike can work out breaking from the rail, Dan, because he did have to go a pretty legit clip on the lead last time.
Well, the number 1 Sheer Delight entered main track only, so we'll move to the 2 Deep Strike, who will break from the rail if this race is on the turf. And I agree with your take, and you and I are going to disagree with Timeform US. They color-coded the pace blue last time out. Deep Strike went to the front. He just never got a breather. He was very, very tired in the final 16th of a mile and got lucky to hold 5th. But all in all, I think the pace scenario will be a little bit kinder to him this time around, and he doesn't need the lead to win.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I looked at him the same exact way, Dan. To me, whether you thought the pace was fast or not last time, he was taking pressure up there the entire way. They would not let him shake free. He had to duel it around the final turn, and he just got tired at the end. And that's a race that did go to closers ultimately. So I gave him a little extra credit for that. I thought he ran fine 2 starts back. That trip was maybe a little bit better. He did sort of angle to the inside in the stretch, but he ran that day. I think this horse is pretty dangerous in here.
The 3 is Beyond Reproach, and he's moving dirt to turf off of a maiden claiming victory. Only raced once previously on the turf. That was way back at Delaware Park in the late summer. He got wired that day in a decent field. The runner-up came back to win a maiden special at Laurel with a 56 Beyer speed figure. It's probably a new horse now without blinkers, with Lasix. Maybe he'll finally be able to run to his potential on turf, and he's going to be a price.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be a price if you like him. I didn't see a ton of pedigree here, Dan, to make me want to, be that forgiving of him switching back to the turf here. And even though he finally got the maiden win last time, it was not a fast race.
The 4 Dr. Schuster has similar form as the 3 Beyond Reproach. Both are moving dirt to turf off maiden claiming victories. Both have only 1 prior turf run, and maybe you could make an excuse for Dr. Schuster's previous turf start because it was only his 2nd lifetime outing, and he was stretching out a demanding 3 furlongs.
Yeah, if I was going to take one of those, horses switching surfaces here off of maiden wins on the dirt, it would be Dr. Schuster. I don't love him, but that 1 turf start at Monmouth last summer, that was a pretty good field he was in.
Elevated Game is the number 5. They ran him on dirt last time out in an off-turf race. He showed speed and tired. He's a turf horse, so he'll be getting back to his best surface. In the Fairgrounds race 2 starts back, Mike, it was a race that was won in gate-to-wire fashion by an odds-on favorite. They ran 1-2 all the way around the track, so maybe he was just impacted by race flow.
Maybe he was. This is a horse who I think he's a pretty tough call in here, Dan, because outside of the debut win at Canterbury, he was in 3 really tough turf races outside of that one. I don't think it's a great sign, maybe, that first start for Ness. It was scheduled for turf. It came off. He had him in for 20 there. It's probably not a great sign, and he didn't run that well, but maybe this is just the right spot for him back on the grass.
The fourth place finisher from that race at the fairgrounds, two-back, did come back to run third in that 20,000 off the turf at Tampa with a 53 buyer. Mi Dinero is the number 6. I think this is an interesting horse, Mike. Debuts winning sprinting at Colonial Downs and took a lot of money that day for a low-profile barn. Since then, they threw him to the wolves against No-Name Metz, who at that point was one of the best 2-year-old turf sprinters in the country in his second lifetime start. And then last time around, he gets wired in a race where they run 1-2 around the track. This seems like a good spot for him.
Yeah, another horse taking a pretty significant class drop for this race. It's hard to tell how good he is, Dan, but his debut was fine. 2 tough races since then. He didn't run well last time. He got forward in that race, and you could just tell around the final turn. He could not keep up with those horses. He was in way too tough here. This is the right class drop for this horse.
Lord Knows is up next, the number 7, and he's a horse that would benefit if this pace indeed is hot. Let's take a look at his most recent start. This was on February the 2nd, and he's going to rally for third. Again, this pace was kind of solid, but Lord Knows does run on at the end, and he's lightly raced that I think he can project a little bit more upside. The 8th place finisher of this race came back to be placed first via DQ with a 66 buyer.
Yeah, this is that deep strike race we were talking about before. And you're going to see Lord Knows. He's never a real factor in this race, Dan. I thought the race set up well for him. I thought he had a clean trip into it. And he was just sort of along for a no-threat third in there. I don't love that performance, but maybe he gets another good trip here. 2 starts back, it's worth noting. He was behind deep strike that day. He got bothered pretty badly in mid-stretch of that race and had to take up, and he just lost all chance.
Number 8 is Hassan. First off of the claim, scored at Tampa Bay in a maiden special weight. Let's watch that effort right now. Again, this pace not fast at all. They really slowed it down on the backstretch. A half mile in 49-2. Hassan is going to kick these horses down, and it's a likable finish.
Yeah, this horse is interested in this race. He comes with a good finish in here to close this race. Now, he got a good overall trip in here, but he runs at the end of this race. And it's also worth noting the turf debut, 2-back. I think he might have won that day, Dan. He was super green through the stretch there, and he would not keep a straight course. He kept sort of drifting over behind the leaders. He really cost himself. He was way more professional in the win last time.
He might be figuring it out, this well-bred son of Into Mischief. He got blinkers for the first time in the race we just saw. Crown Jewel is up next. Again, Lasix on for the class drop, even 5th last time out. They were not aggressive with him leaving the gate. They took him in, they took a hold. He steadied early. He was last going into the first turn, and he tried to make up some late ground, Mike. It's just hard to make up late ground when they go 51 to the half.
That's true. He didn't have a great setup in there. He did try to get involved, and he just really couldn't make it happen. Each of his 2 starts here at Tampa on the grass, he was just in against way tougher horses, Dan. So maybe the class drop, the Lasix, all that stuff sort of conspires to make him really tough in here. I'm just not sure how good he is, and I don't know how short a price I'd want to take on it.
To show the quality of competition he was in against last time out. The winner of that race came back to win again for $75,000. He did so with his 74 buyer. That horse has won 4 of his last 5 starts, 3 in a row. Jailhouse Justice is up next, and this horse put it all together, blinkers off last time out. $16,000 maiden claimer again. Pace not exactly fast in here. Half mile and 49 and change. He fires strong in the stretch to best 2 next out winners.
Yeah, he just comes running here. This horse has a clear lead on him through the stretch, and he just runs this horse over. I thought this was a pretty nice finish and a nice run he puts in here. Then he wins this race really easily without having to get down to serious business. It didn't look like. The race 2-back too, I think, makes him interesting to the turf debut because that was an open maiden special. That pace was fast, and he went with it. He would not back off early in there. He wound up dueling. He got tired, but he didn't quit in there. I thought that was an underrated performance.
And again, a fast pace would work to his advantage. He's a little bit more tactical as well if the pace is not that hot. The 11 is King Faliero. He's entered main track only. So before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Huge week this week on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel with 3 major Kentucky Derby prep races. We'll have all the analysis for you this week. Topic time for the Wednesday race of the day. You're going to Jailhouse Justice to make it 2 in a row, Mike, and why not? He looked good last time.
I think he might be a little better than he looks on paper. It's not going to be easy for him here, Dan, stepping up off of a maiden win. I just like the way that he looked winning last time. I was very interested in the 10 and the 8 in here. Hopefully they're both fair prices.
I'm hoping Deep Strike gets a little bit more of a breather this time, either on the lead or, for me, preferably just sitting in the pocket. I'd like this horse to actually have a target this time. He's 7-2 on the morning line. I guess I'd take that considering his last race, again, he was pressured all the way around. 10-8-7-9 for Mike, 2-9 978 for me. It's the Wednesday race of the day, kicking off a 50-cent pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs, race number 5. Good luck.